the Grouchy Nerd.
Alright, you antisocial weirdos, it's time to learn a game that plays at the ideal player count. 1. Warp's Edge, designed by Scott Almes and published by Renegade Games Studios, is a single-player bag builder, which is basically a deck builder, but instead of drawing cards from a deck, you'll be pulling tokens out of a bag. But the concepts are the same. You'll start with a number of basic tokens, and you'll use those tokens each turn to make your bag more efficient and more powerful in each subsequent turn. Your goal in Warp's Edge is to defeat the alien mothership and bring peace to the Outer Rim. You'll play over a series of rounds called warps. The number of warps you get is determined by the mothership you're going against, and the number of turns each warp is determined by how long it takes you to deplete your bag of tokens. However, you'll also have to dogfight your way through a deck of smaller enemy ships, using weapons and daring maneuvers. Kind of like that one Anthony Edwards movie. At the end of each warp, you'll snap back to the beginning, and any enemies that you've defeated get added back to the top of the deck. So you may end up seeing them in a different order, but at least you kind of know what's coming. Kind of like that Emily Blunt movie. If you fail, the Outer Rim will fall and everything you know and love will be destroyed. Kind of like that Morgan Freeman movie. So just like if you can imagine some kind of weird connective tissue between those three movies, you've basically got Warp's Edge. So saving the Outer Rim is your mission. Impossible? No. That'd be a terrible game. Choose from one of the available two-sided Starfighter dashboards and choose a side. I'm going to use Artemis in my example. The top of the dashboard tells you the name and model of the ship, and in the center are the ship's unique loadout of power tokens, which we'll hear more about in a bit. On the right are the hull and shield meters. On the left is your ship's hold and a listed number of tokens that can be held in reserve there. Last, your ship's unique ability, if any. Place the hull and shield markers on the topmost numbered space of their respective meters. Shuffle the deck of skill cards. Draw two and choose one to place face up to the left of your starfighter. Then place the other one face down on the bottom of the deck. The activation requirement of a skill card is on the top right, and the effect is along the bottom. Some skill cards have ongoing effects, while others are one-time effects. Place the token trays nearby, and fill your power tray to your starfighter's loadout. You should have 3 tokens in each power slot. Each of these tokens is explained in detail on the back of the rulebook. Find the 10 starter tokens with the white borders and add them to the bag along with one of your yellow power tokens. Give the bag a mighty shake, not unlike those things in that Brian Brown movie. Choose a mothership. The mothership dashboards, like the Starfighter dashboards, are double-sided and have a difficulty ranking system ranging from 1 to 4 stars. We're going to set up with the easiest one, the Dread, which is the green one. Green like the color of money, if you happen to be American-made. The mothership dashboard tells you the name of the ship, the species, how to build that ship's enemy deck, the warp track, which tells you how many warps you get, and the ship's special rules. Each section of a mothership has its own requirements to defeat, rewards for doing so, and attack value, and can be fought and destroyed individually. Enemy cards look like this. They've got a name, a species type, a difficulty level, the number of lasers or maneuvers required to defeat it, the respective rewards for doing so, any special ability, and how much damage it will do to you if you don't find a way to deal with it. Create the enemy deck based on the unique deck setup on the chosen mothership. To do this, separate the enemy cards by color, red, orange, and yellow. Shuffle each stack. Place the number of cards shown of each color so that the red cards are face down on the bottom, the orange cards are face down on top of the red cards, and the yellow cards are face down on top. In the case of the Dread, there's 3 red, 4 orange, and 5 yellow cards. Place the remainder of the enemy cards back in the game box. Draw 5 tokens to form your initial token pool. For the remainder of the game, the current warp ends when the bag is empty and you must draw a token. At any time, you may feel around inside the bag and attempt to count how many tokens you have remaining, but you may not look inside the bag or pull the tokens out to look at them. Cheater. Alternatively, you can follow along with the included choose-your-own-adventure style book Singularity, written by Banana Chan and illustrated by Tyler Johnson, which will guide you through choosing a starfighter, a starting skill type, and the mothership you're going to face. Each turn plays thusly. Enemy arrivals. Fill the enemy row by drawing cards from the top of the enemy deck and placing them in the leftmost available position until you have 4 cards in the row. On later turns, you may be filling gaps in the row. Do not slide cards together to fill gaps. Pilot actions. Now you have a few different options here, and you can do any of them as many times as you want so long as you have the tokens and the skill cards required. First, fire lasers. You may assign 1 or more laser tokens to an enemy by placing the tokens below the card. Lasers come in 3 values, 1, 2, and 3, each doing that much damage. If the damage in laser points is equal to or more than the number on the left side of the enemy's stats, you defeat the enemy. Immediately discard the enemy and the tokens used to defeat that enemy and receive the reward shown below the laser stat. Perform maneuvers works much the same way. Maneuver tokens only come in ones, but other than that, it's the same. If you perform the required number of maneuvers against an enemy, discard the enemy, enemy and the tokens used, and receive the reward under the maneuver stat. A full list of the rewards and what they mean are on page 21 of the rulebook, but for the most part it's either going to be adding tokens into your bag or pulling more tokens out of the bag to add to your token pool. Enemies which have had at least one laser shot at them or maneuver performed against them are stunned and will not be attacking you in the enemy phase this turn. Power tokens may be used for the unique effect, again listed on the back of the rulebook for easy reference. If a power token counts as a laser or a maneuver, such as Photon Blast, which counts as a laser to 2 adjacent targets, it likewise counts towards the total of that value needed to defeat the enemy, as well as stuns both enemies if applied this turn. Energy tokens, like lasers, come in values of 1, 2, and 3, and you can spend these in one of two ways. You can spend energy to restore your shield by twice the value of energy spent, so 1 energy will get you 2 shield points back, 2 energy will get you 4 shield points back, but you can never exceed your maximum shield. Instead of repairing your shields, you may choose to spend energy to buy new tokens. The cost is listed on the organizer tray. Tokens spent are discarded, while tokens gained are placed directly into your bag, thus extending this turn. Leftover energy is lost, so try to spend it all. Activate a skill card by paying the required value of either energy, lasers, or maneuvers shown on the card. This value must be met in full in the same turn. Once activated, tokens placed on a skill remain there until you use them, whether it's in this turn or in a future turn. When you use a skill card, discard the tokens that were used to activate it. Turn the card 90 degrees to exhaust it, and apply the text on the card. But be careful, each skill can only be used once per warp. Unless, of course, that skill card happens to be an ongoing skill. Ongoing skills are denoted by the red border around the cost. Also, the literal word ongoing is a solid clue. Ongoing skills are activated in the same way, but when you use an ongoing skill, the tokens used to activate it are removed from the game rather than simply discarded, which is rough, but once an ongoing skill is active, it's active for the whole rest of the game, which is less rough. You may also move tokens into or out of your hold during this step, respecting your ship's hold capacity. Enemy attacks. First, one at a time and from left to right, assess the remaining ships in the enemy row. If the enemy has been hit with a laser or dazzled with a maneuver, that ship is stunned and its attack value and abilities don't matter. Enemies that are not stunned do their attack value in damage to your ship. For each damage done, move your shield marker down 1 space. When your shield marker reaches the red area, continue to take damage from your hull. If your hull marker reaches the red, then you lose. And the aliens take over the outer rim and everything is bad forever, and it's your fault. You should have known the stakes. For each damage done to your shield but not your hull, you must remove from the game that number of tokens from your token discard, or as many as you can if you don't have enough. Think of it as collateral damage. Harsh? Maybe. Far and away the best way to get rid of weaker tokens from your bag? Yeah, it is. It is. You're welcome for that tip. Move any tokens in the spaces below the cards in the enemy row and place them above the cards. These count toward the total needed to defeat the enemies, but no longer stun them on future turns. Check the attack conditions of the mothership. If the mothership can attack you, resolve an attack for each section. In the case of the Dread, you can't attack it or be attacked by it while there are still cards left in the enemy deck. Pilot plans. Give the bag another mighty shake. Draw 5 tokens and add them to your token pool, and begin again at step 1, refilling the enemy row. If you do not have at least 5 tokens left in the bag during this step, the warp immediately ends. Because you died. But luckily your ship's savior protocol engages and it warps you back to the beginning of the whatever. It's seriously basically just that Emily Blunt movie. When the current warp ends, the following happens. Retrieve all tokens in play and in the discard area and place them back in your bag. Retrieve all enemies from the enemy row and discard pile. Shuffle these cards, then place them face down on top of the remaining enemy deck. Hopefully you learned all the right moves to defeat them on the next go-around. Draw 2 skill cards, add 1 to your available skills, and return the other face down to the bottom of the skills deck. Advance the warp marker on the mothership. Give the bag the firmest shake you can. Draw 5 tokens and begin again at step 1. Enemies arrive. Play continues in this way until the mothership is destroyed or the final warp ends. If you manage to defeat the mothership, you win. You legend you. If the mothership is not defeated by the end of the final round, well, then it looks like you're losing it. The game, you're losing the game. But not the game. That's Michael Douglas. Okay, that's Warp's Edge. Now get out of... I don't think I can say get out of my rim on YouTube. Oh, Outer Rim. That makes more sense. I don't actually think that's better. A Few Good Men.